Hey fam, Daniel here. Welcome back to Hold True Apologetics, where we seek answers to tough questions. Today we're continuing our series on why we can trust the Bible. Last week we looked at the questions, isn't the Bible just full of contradictions? Well, I encourage you to check out that video. This week we're dealing with the question of should we or can we trust what is written in the Gospels and the New Testament as true history? Should we or can we trust what is written in the Gospels as true history, or is it just elaboration and storytelling? Maybe there's a kernel of truth, but it's just elaboration and storytelling, and you don't know what's actually true. Well, that's what we're going to be digging today. True history or not? Well, first to begin and deal with this question, we must ask about the authors, all right? Were the authors, or are the authors that wrote the Gospel in the New Testament, are they concerned with recording truth? Are they concerned with recording and giving true history? Well, let's see. All right, I'm just pointing out a couple passages to you. How do they view their own writing? In Luke chapter 1, verse 1 through 4, it states this. This is Luke writing. Many have undertaken to draw up an account of the things that have been fulfilled among us, just as they've been handed down to us by those who from the first were eyewitnesses of the servant of the word, which is referring to Jesus. With this in mind, since I myself have carefully investigated everything from the beginning, I too decide to write to you an orderly account to you, most excellent philosophers, and I always say that name wrong. I encourage you, read it, so that you may know for certainty of the things you have been taught. We have something similar in John chapter 1, 1 through 4. We also in 2 Peter 1 states this. It says, "For we do not follow cleverly devised stories when we told you about the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ in power, but we're eyewitnesses of his majesty." So just from these passages, we got Luke, we got John, we got Peter. They are gravely concerned with writing and recording true history. Or so they're really concerned with it. They're not saying, "Hey, I'm going to tell you a nice elaborate story." They're like, "No, I'm here to give you an orderly account of what took place. I'm here to tell you because I was an eyewitness to the events that took place." So they are really concerned with recording and telling and recounting truth and true history. All right, so we see that they're concerned with it. Now we're going to ask, well, are they honest with what they recorded? Are they honest with what they recorded, and how can we know? Well, we can know in a couple ways, all right? We can know with certain details in it. I'm going to point out 3 different types of details in it that give weight to it being authentic and true. The first detail is embarrassing details. Now, when historians look at ancient texts, they often use what's called the criteria of embarrassment. The criteria of embarrassment is basically looking at the details when it's written and saying if there's embarrassing details to the author or an important person in the writing, then most likely that is true. All right? They wouldn't add embarrassing details just to add them to the heroes or anything. That would take away from what they're trying to write. They wouldn't just add it in. So, now when we get to the Bible, Old and New Testament, it is chock full of embarrassing details. In the Old Testament, you have David and Bathsheba. All right, if you know the story of David and Bathsheba, shorthand, David killed Bathsheba's husband and slept with and married Bathsheba. That's a very shorthand, all right? But very embarrassing detail. Next, in New Testament, you have Peter, who's the rock, who's like the strong one of the disciples in a way. And what happened when Jesus was arrested? Well, he denied knowing Jesus 3 times. That's super embarrassing detail, all right? And there's many, many other ones, but these embarrassing details are in all throughout, and they give weight to the reality that these are actual events that took place. A man by the name of Tim Chaffee states this: "The Bible also includes major moral failings of its heroes, yet most writings of other religions tend to whitewash the flaws of the heroes." This is important to know because these embarrassing details give weight to the accuracy and authenticity of what is actually written. All right? So embarrassing details. The second detail I want to know is random details. All right? The Bible is chock full, from old to new, super random details at times. Right? As you're reading, you're kind of like, what is that? Why is that even there? What's the importance of that? there's a lot of times really random details. In the New Testament, in John 21, it mentions the disciples caught 153 fish. Okay, 153 fish. That's a super random detail. In Mark chapter 4, you have mentioned that Jesus was asleep on a cushion. Super random detail. All right. Why did I note this? Because these random details give weight again to it being authentic. All right. And let me just read you a quote by C.S. Lewis, amazing man, and he wrote this. Who's done a lot of reading and who did a lot of reading in mythology, and all this stuff. And this is what he writes. I've been reading poems, romance, visiting literature, legends, and myths all my life. I know what they're like. And I know none of them are like this, referring to the Gospels. Of this, the Gospel text, there are only two possible views. Either this is a reportage, as in this actually took place, or else some unknown ancient writer, without known precedents or successor, suddenly anticipated the whole technique of modern novel writing, realistic narrative. Let me summarize what he's stating. He's stating ancient fiction is nothing like modern fiction. All right? And what we have in the Gospels are these super detailed, random details that would never have been added into ancient fiction. And why is that important to note? Because the fact they're in there gives weight to it being real, and that it was written by eyewitnesses that actually saw Jesus sleeping on a cushion, or saw the fact that they were some of the ones that caught the 153 fish. So we see those random details. The third detail I want to note is that important details. I mean, you got all through the Old Testament, all through the New and the Old Testament, very important details. They mention rulers. They mention ancient rulers that you could check out historically, archaeology, and we could look at that another week. But you got the places are real places that have been discovered and being discovered. They aren't some made-up place. Luke, I encourage you to read the book of Luke. Luke is not always goes into details of who's ruling. All right. In Luke chapter 3, it says, in the 15th year of Tiberius Caesar, with Pontius Pilate as governor of Judea, Herod Tetrarch of Galilee, and he goes on. He's giving all these details. He says, hey, you could go check out the reality that these are real people that ruled during this time. These important details give weight to it being authentic and real. So the last thing I want to know. The last thing I want to know as we're looking at this, can we trust them as true history? We see that they're concerned with writing true history. We see that the details they gave, with embarrassing details, with important details, with random details, all give weight to it being authentic, true, and recorded as real history. The last thing I want to note is, what did it cost the authors to write this? What did it cost the authors to write this? Well, very shorthand, it cost them their lives. All right, it cost them their lives to record these events so that we can have them. Sean McDowell, who wrote this incredible book right here, if you can see it. All right, I'll put the link in the bio. It's called The Fate of the Apostles, Examining the Martyrdom Account of the Closest Followers of Jesus. Encourage you, get this book, check it out. Awesome book, goes through details, way more detail than I will now, on the disciples and the end of their lives. And he states this: their willingness as the disciples to face persecution and martyrdom indicated more than any other conceivable course their sincere conviction that after rising from the dead, Jesus indeed appeared to them. They didn't die for what they thought was true. They were willing to die for what they knew was true because they themselves had witnessed it. Do you see the difference? So to answer the question back in the beginning, can we trust the Gospels as recorded true history? Well, the answer is yes. They were concerned with the truth, and the details that we have in it all point to it being authentic and true. And lastly, they're willing to give their lives because they themselves had witnessed these events. So shorthand, yes, you can trust what they're writing as true history. Well, I encourage you guys, come back next week as we'll be digging in more questions on, well, isn't the Bible just man-made? Hasn't the Bible been corrupted over the years? We're going to check those out these next couple weeks. But you guys have a good day. If you found this video helpful or challenging, I encourage you, like, subscribe, and share this video on to anybody and everybody you know.